historical art, which is what I paint. I have a basis for what I paint. I'm not just making up something. I do a lot of paintings that I make up, but they all have a historical background with them, you know, and I research them, do a lot of research on it. And if we take this one here, this is of Abraham, which is Tennessee State Museum commissioned me to do this, and it's in their collection because they've got the story of Abraham, who was a black slave that lived in Greenfield Station in the 1780s. And he hunted, i.e., there's the reason why I've got the flintlock gun and the dogs. He hunted for Greenfield Station. And one day he was hunting and he encountered a party of Cherokee Indians on their way to invade or to attack Greenfield Station, and he threw his gun up and he shot the lead guy. It turned out to be the chief, and they took off and they never attacked. So he basically saved Greenfield Station from that attack by the Cherokees. When I was 4 and 5 years old, you know, during the war, the Great War, my mother drew pictures for us, and that influenced me to become an artist at that point. I remember 4 years old, I can still remember that to this day. She drew Gordon potato chip trucks and horses, and those two things in her lap. And that's what probably started me to become an artist, to that. And I've drawn all my life. I've done, like a lot of watercolors, I've painted wash, acrylics, casing, and then eventually oil. Well, I started out in oil in art school, and then I evolved through all of those mediums and came back to oil, and that's what I've been painting in since the late 1900s. Okay, that's Gateway to the West. Daniel Boone leading the settlers through the Cumberland Gap in the early 1700s. And you know the history of Daniel Boone settling Kentucky and so on like that. But I was commissioned to do this for the National Park Service, and actually now for Cumberland Gap Park, you know. And the original now is hanging in Congressman Hal Rogers' office in Washington. So eventually I hope it's coming back to the park. But anyway, I painted Daniel Boone and about 30 people, you know, that he was leading at that time. The Indians attacked them, killed several of them, and they abandoned that trip and went back and then came back later and settled Kentucky. So I'm showing him in his first episode over Cumberland Gap. That's right here. You know, you get into all the background history of things, and that's what's a lot of fun of it. So I went to Cumberland Gap. They assigned a park ranger to me, and we went over the trail, the actual wilderness road, which was just then being redone because it had been gone for all. It's been a highway over that all those years. They did away with that highway, and then they came back and redid the wilderness road. So I'm standing up there on top of the hill where they'd already started, you know, cutting it out and clearing it. And I could actually look through the spot, and that's Tennessee right there. Because, you know, it's Cumberland Gap's right down there on the border. I could see Tennessee. I thought, boom, there we go. That's kind of neat. So I put that in the painting where you look through there. Now, the trees back then were big, you know, that's the reason why you got very big trees in my painting now. It was a fun one to do, it really was. That's my wife, Jane, right there. She models for me all the time. I did for Bill Pereira for his books, you know, the 3 books that Bill and Jack came out with, and they used my paintings on all the covers. Matter of fact, this is on the first cover of their book, first book they did. And then that was on the 3rd one. And Bill asked me, I said, I'd like to have something local. Can you do something? Well, flat boats on the Cumberland River, they came down here. That gets pretty tight to us. And then that big bluff right there, out there by the steam plant, just worked out, you know. So I got me a boat and I floated down that. Painted it, put the flat boats on it. You really, honestly, you hope that what you're painting is correct, and that's history, and that people can look at a history painting and understand and interpret what's in it, and hopefully you've accomplished what you set out to do, in addition to selling the original, of course, because we love to eat, you know. But the whole point of it is, I didn't decide to be a landscape artist forever. I definitely didn't decide to be an abstract artist. I wound up being a historical subject matter, and I love it. I really do. I'll keep on doing it as long as I can. You know.